Hey friends, it's Michael, licensed physical therapist. Today we're going to discuss the concept of functional exercise. What is it, why you should be familiar with it, and how you apply it. Okay, bear with me while I take a time travel back to the early 2000s when I entered into a graduate physical therapy program.
What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour!
Now, during my time in that program, it was emphasized on a daily basis this idea and concept of function, function, function. That's all we heard, everything related around this concept of function. Now, at the same time, in the public and in the fitness realm, function was around, but I don't think it was as heavily emphasized and over-exaggerated like I believe it is today, because now it's just a catch-all term. But I'm going to take you back to those early 2000s when it was really becoming predominant in the realm of physical therapy education and why we were studying it so aggressively. So the term functional exercise is a term that is designed to mimic the movement patterns of everyday activities, sports, and occupational demands. And by training your body to move in these functional patterns, you can improve your overall fitness, your quality of life, your coordination, balance, and your efficacy with those common everyday demands. So here's a few examples of functional exercises, why they are important. Number one, we're going to improve balance and stability. Functional exercises require the use of multiple muscle groups, multiple joints moving in a coordinated effort with one another, which helps to improve your balance and your stability. This can reduce the risks of falls, injuries, and tissue damage that could ultimately lead to a reduced ability to carry out those tasks. Number two, better movement efficiency. If you are doing compound movements that require these multiple muscles and multiple joints to move simultaneously in a harmonious effort, this is going to help improve the way your body reminds itself and remembers and is able to regurgitate these movements, making it much more efficient and able to perform these tasks with ease and reduced likelihood of tissue damage. Number three, increased muscle and joint strength. Okay, we talk about strength all the time, and there's multiple reasons why strength is important for us. But in this case, functional exercises are just simply designed to make multiple groups and joints move at the same coordinated time as we've already discussed. And this leads to a improved, a more efficient, and a faster rate of muscle strength building. Number four, greater functional capacity. What does this term functional capacity mean? It means your ability to carry out tasks on a repeated basis, whether that's for recreational purposes, whether it's daily tasks, or whether it's occupational job demands. These types of exercises are improving your capacity, or rather your endurance, which means that you're able to perform these with more ease, less fatigue, and improved repeatability. Okay, point number five, we're going to specifically relate this to the athletic community. Functional exercises help to improve athletic performance in the same manner. We are training the body to move in the same way that it's repeatedly being exposed to during sports or other physical rigorous demands. And in doing so, not only do you become more efficient at doing that sport, but you are mitigating the risks of the tissue damage, which could ultimately lead to injury and lost time of sport participation. So now we know what functional exercise is and why you should apply it. Let's talk about some of the just general how to apply functional exercises. Let me talk about 5 basic exercises and how you can apply these every day. Number one, a loaded carry. Now, a loaded carry simply means that you have additional weight on your persons and you are going to transport that extra weight from point A to point B. And you're going to do that under a period of time. Now, this could be something as simple as you females out there carrying those heavy purses. There's going to be a lot of people that tell you that those heavy purses need to be lightened up. And I'm going to tell you, in my couple decades of practice, I actually find that most of those purses aren't influencing what's happening. I actually like to change the frame of mind and tell those individuals that you're actually using that heavy purse to actually create some physiological changes and make you stronger. But the problem that I see with carrying these purses, as well as carrying newborn children or young toddlers, is the fact that we're creatures of habit, and females tend to carry those purses and those children on the same side every single time. So it has the potential to create imbalances. So I often encourage people to force themselves to take some time to flop that purse from shoulder to shoulder on any given day, carry those children on both sides, and just break the habit of always being on one side. So other examples of loaded carries Let's talk about going to the grocery store. I know all of us are guilty of pushing those carts all the way out to our vehicles, unloading those groceries, and then going and throwing the cart into the outdoor bin. Well, if you have a manageable load with a number of bags that you feel like you could physically carry, I recommend taking that shopping cart, leaving it in the store, and just carrying those bags out, putting them into your car and spending that extra time under that tension. Let your body get used and accustomed to carrying that extra load for longer periods, and you, I think, would reap the benefits and be excited to discover that you can physically carry out a task for longer periods. Now, in the home, I recommend that people just look around for suitcases or soft duffel-like bags, backpacks. Take some common household objects, throw them into those suitcases, bags, or backpacks. You can either hold on to these objects at your side, you can bear hug them across your chest, you can put those straps over your shoulder, or for some lighter manageable weights, you can try to suspend overhead with 1 or 2 arms, and you just simply walk around the house. This might only be for 15, 20, 30 seconds, or it could be as long as 2-3 minutes. Whatever the case may be, just stressing your body in this manner of carrying loads for extended periods of time is in reality a functional plank. You're giving your spine the opportunity to figure out how to suspend these loads while keeping it erect. So loaded carries, wonderful tool to be able to improve a lot of that core coordination and efficiency and endurance of common everyday household, recreational, and sport demand tasks. Functional movement number 2, the squat. Every single one of you watching this video, unless you are chair or bedridden, performs a squat every single day. When you simply get out of your bed or on and off of your furniture, you are in essence performing a squat. So how do we translate that over to building increased tolerance of the squat? Very simple. You just stood up out of a chair, sit back down in it, pop back up, do it 3 to 5 times, maybe even a few more than that. You're going to reap the benefits of that. Now, for you critics out there that suggest that you cannot do squats because they hurt your knees, I'm going to tell you that in your given case, it might be a load tolerance or a technique issue as opposed to the actual problem being the squat. There's no suggested evidence as of current in the literature to state and confirm that squats create knee problems. It's a myth, and if you are experiencing those problems during a squatting behavior, then you need to have your technique, your coordination, and your ability to carry out that task analyzed by a trained specialist. Brings us to technique number 3, the hip hinge. Now, the hip hinge is a lot different from the squat in one basic concept. Instead of an excessive vertical movement like the squat is, taking your hips and your buttocks down towards the floor, the hip hinge takes your hips more in a horizontal direction. Now, a very simple technique to utilize is to stand up against the wall with your head and your hips touching that wall, but to move your feet one length of your foot away from the wall. Once you've done this, you're going to bring your trunk, your hips, and your head off of that wall, and then your goal and your intention is to take your hips, push them horizontally back to that wall that you just left with very minimal knee movement and with little to no bend in your spine. If you can master that technique, you have mastered a hip hinge that can then be advanced. Now that's going to bring us to functional movement number 4, which is the pull. The pull is a group of exercises that's going to work the muscles of the back, your forearm muscles, your biceps, your grip. This is going to require extensive coordination, efficiency, and strength to do things such as opening doors, pulling on a vacuum, pulling on shopping carts, essentially taking anything that's far away from you and bringing it closer to you. Now, occasionally we're going to find individuals that lose their balance when they're trying to pull something very heavy towards them, and they'll continue to fall backwards. So it's really critical that we establish the coordination and the strength to be able to carry out the pull. This is going to bring us to the opposite movement. Number 5, the push. Push is going to be an exercise that works the front of the trunk in the likes of the chest, the shoulder muscles, the triceps of the back of the arms, and again, those core muscles of your trunk. This is going to mimic the patterns that I suggested earlier. This is going to be the closing of the doors, the pushing of the carts. This is going to be taking anything close to you and taking it further away. So those 5 basic movement patterns are functional patterns that you expose your body to each and every day, and they are very simple techniques at home that you can do with very little to no exercise equipment, and there's really no excuse to try to extrapolate this information and understand that everything that you're doing on a daily basis includes a lot of these movement behaviors. Okay, here's a bonus for you guys. Pattern number 6. This is going to be one that the majority of individuals over a certain age range are going to avoid. They're actually going to consider it detrimental if they're forced to actually get into this position. Pattern number 6 is the crawl. It might seem silly to ask somebody to be able to get down on the ground, crawl, and get off, but I'm going to tell you in certain situations it could be life-saving. Let's consider an instance where you're in a burning building or you are all alone and you've fallen on some red-hot smoldering cement and you have to get off of that cement in order to prevent burns. These are extreme cases, but these are real-life scenarios. So we do emphasize and stress that individuals at least consider the fact that if they are in situations like that, they have fallen, they don't have anybody to give them aid to get up, there are no external devices, chairs, or furniture to be able to get up. They need to be able to either crawl to places where they can hoist themselves up, or they need to be able to learn how to simply get up off of the floor. So that's a bonus functional movement that I feel is essential. It's the one that out of that whole entire list, individuals are going to avoid the most, but I encourage, no matter what age you are, get down on the floor and get off of it and do it repeatedly. You guys gathered some insight into these 6 basic functional movement behaviors. You understand what they are, why we need to be aware of them, and how you can actually help improve your capacity to carry them out. If you like this information, share it with others. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like this video, it really helps us to get great feedback from you guys and directs us in a path to produce more videos that you guys want to watch. As always, guys, have a beautiful day and we'll talk to you soon.